on the Texas A&M Sports Network. From Learfield, welcome to the Aggie Football Hour, brought to you by Capital Farm Credit, a leader in agricultural financing. Also brought to you in part by Coors Light, Choose Chill, and Gig 'em Aggies. 2024 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly. Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Visit rudys.com to find real Texas barbecue near you. Twisted Tea, hard iced tea for the 12th man. Please drink responsibly. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas. Through it all. And by Capital Farm Credit. Together, we're better. Now, the Aggie Football Hour, brought to you by Capital Farm Credit, a leader in agricultural financing. Here's the voice of the Aggies, Andrew Monaco.
Howdy, and we welcome everyone inside Rudy's. Another Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit with the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, Mike Elko, and we are absolutely divided this evening.
We are extremely divided right now at the moment, as we're trying to serve out the first set here against those people over in Austin. And, so we got a split crowd in the room. I certainly understand us trying to make sure we close this one out.
That's right.
So I think we need to pause the radio show for a minute if possible.
We are going to be giving updates as often as possible.
There's no doubt. Right? I'm going to kind of get my broadcasting career started on the mic tonight. We'll go through it.
Yep. A&M over in Austin, taking on Texas. Second time in the Lone Star Showdown. We're doing it in all the sports, which is, I think, fantastic. And they have played, and we know that rivalry is coming back, but really neat to do it in all the other sports as well, now that they're two conference rivals again.
Yeah, for sure. And we've spoken about this a lot from the football side, but it's really the case in every sport that we have. You shouldn't have two big programs in a state that's so passionate about football that don't play each other.
Yeah.
Right? And that's from our sport to women's volleyball to whatever, basketball, baseball, all of it. Those two logos should play each other consistently.
Yeah. And interesting, when you were at Duke, because of that triangle, right? Yeah. You had multiple rivals, correct?
You had Duke Carolina, you had Carolina State, you had Duke NC State, you had Duke Wake. Those games mean more.
Yeah.
And the more often you play them, the more frequent you play them, I think it's just good for everybody.
Yeah. Last Saturday, 34-24 over Mississippi State, another road win for Texas A&M. The victory coming off the bye week, and it was impressive. There were responses by this team, a lot of good things. Go through the positives and the negatives of what you thought in that win.
Yeah, I think obviously overcoming adversity. We talked a lot about that, and we certainly didn't play our best game. I think the way we started on defense wasn't ideal, and we let them hit a couple runs. We missed some tackles on that first drive. They converted the fourth down for the touchdown, and then I thought offensively and kind of extended the lead, and then defensively we gave up the 2-minute drive before the half, which was a backbreaker, and kept them in it, and came out, did some good things, and then had the bad turnover to start the fourth quarter, and that put them back in it again, but then still found a way to finish. And I just think part of championship DNA, part of championship mentality is you just find a way.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got your best, if you don't have your best, no matter what it is, you find a way. And you see that across the board in all sports from championship level teams. And you can't play your best game 12 straight times. It just doesn't work like that. And so sometimes you just got to roll up your sleeves and grind it out. And I thought we did that Saturday.
One of the big stats I thought from that win, 9 for 14 on third downs, Mike. Yeah. And you always preach third down is so important.
Yeah, we did a really good job on third down, converting things. And when you really look at the game, it's crazy. We scored on 5 of our first 6 possessions. And so 6 possessions into the game, we had 31 points. We had scored on 5 of our 6 possessions. And offensively, we were doing some things to kind of stretch the game out. And defensively, we had the 2 bad drives, and we were kind of solidifying where we were defensively. And just turnovers are huge momentum swings. And it's not to put it on Connor's lap by any stretch of the imagination. It falls on a lot of people. But when you get those critical turnovers like that, it just feels like everything shifts, right? And then it's a little bit what happened in the fourth quarter.
And that pick at the 12, and you're thinking, well, this could be Bowling Green all over again. Could it be just a field goal? And you get the stops on first and second. Coleman makes a heck of a catch, a one-handed catch.
Yeah.
Van Buren's going to be a good quarterback now.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
but you thought you can't keep saying a defense save us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they went out, and we didn't execute the third down play exactly like we wanted to, and that's going to happen. And I think everyone always tries to, justify it through the other team. Oh, well, they were better than we thought, or this, that, or the other. Like, it's the SEC.
Right.
Like, it's the SEC. Right. They're talented players, and I just think that's what happens in this league. And, you look across, the landscape of this conference, and those games are happening all over the place. And so it's not, we talked even a little bit about going into it, like, do you point to the other games? Like, no, I think everyone in the SEC just understands, like, this is how it goes. And some games you go out and you play real well and things go your way and it plays out like Missouri. And sometimes it doesn't exactly bounce that way. And you just got to find a way. And that's kind of where we were. And so I don't think we played poorly. We didn't play our best, but I don't think we played poorly. They played well. They made plays. SEC teams do that. And then all of a sudden you're in a dogfight.
Right.
And you got to find a way.
To take nothing away, but Missouri's almost like the outlier game. That's like not an SEC contest, right?
Yeah, for sure. But they turnovers, a ball bounce. Like, we go down to Missouri or Florida, and you get up early, and then they swing back at you, and you kind of hold off, right? And it's just, you never know how these things are going to play out. Even the two marquee games so far in this year in the league, it was one team races out to a huge halftime lead, and then you think it's over, and then here comes the other team, and now all of a sudden you think they're going to, and it turns. It's just. There's a lot of good players in this league. There are, and they find ways to make plays. And you just try to build it in your kids' mindsets. And we talk about this a lot. Like, we use the term 3.5 hours. Like, everyone says, hey, football, it's 60 minutes, it's 6 seconds. It's 3.5 hours. Like, this is a meat grinder that we're getting into every Saturday, and you got to be prepared for it.
Or, as you said at practice, 5.5 hours.
Right, whatever it takes. Yeah, I told him in reference to this one. I said, we always talk about, we'll do whatever it takes for as long as it takes. And I said my first LSU game, it took us 5.5 hours, I think, to get the to 7 overtime victory, and I played no role in that as the defensive coordinator that night. I'm very confident in saying that. But no, it was good. It was really good.
What changed at halftime? Because the defense absolutely dominated the line of scrimmage, was smothering, and all those batted down passes and the pressure you got. What an adjustment at half, Mike.
Yeah, I thought we did some different things with the front structure, and that offense is so challenging with how wide they spread you. And I think we've always gotten into a little bit of a debate internally, whether it was when I was here as the DC playing Ole Miss or Coach Leach's
the air raid,
or now playing Levy, and usually our best 4 players have been our D-line, but sometimes the best way to play those guys is in some 3-4 structures. And so we shifted. We prepared it last week because we wanted to make sure we had the ability to do it. I thought we did that. I thought that helped us. I thought that got our linebackers a little bit more free. They were very impactful. I thought our kids obviously felt the urgency a little bit more to protect what they had earned, and did that. And so I think the urgency went up in the second half, and made enough plays.
We'll talk about those players at each of those positions honored by the team when we come back to the Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. Stay with us. This is Aggie Football from Learfield. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance wants to give you a VIP Aggie basketball fan experience this year. Go to 12thman.com/maroon contest and register. One winner and a guest will receive game tickets. A VIP tour of Reed Arena will be recognized on the video board during the game. Register today at 12thman.com/maroon contest. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance is a proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. We continue Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko, and it's presented by Capital Farm Credit. We started Buzz's show, by the way, on Monday.
Nice. How'd Buzz do? Did he do good?
He's outstanding in that moment.
Yeah, he's a good one for me to model after. If I can continue year after year making improvements, I think he's kind of where we're shooting for.
He is, I've used the word fascinating with Buzz. The combination of coach, but he doesn't want to. It's not his identity, basketball coach, but the leadership part of it is unbelievable. Every time he's talking, I'm either saving the clip, writing it down, putting it in notes. It's just amazing.
Yeah, so I must have stopped on him so often on my Instagram reels that he's now part of my algorithm. So I think anytime he does a class or anything gets popped up, I feel like I'm just constantly seeing Buzz do his conversations in the classroom and stuff like that. Yeah, they're fascinating.
It's so much fun. I know he's going to see you over at Reed Arena as often as you possibly can.
Yeah.
He said he's never been to an SEC Road game, and I'm like, it's an open invitation. But let's go.
Yeah, you know what? I'll have to send him a text.
Yeah,
we'll invite him. We'll get him on the plane with us. We'll bring him out to a game.
Yeah,
we had him. He was in fall camp. He came into fall camp with us. Yeah, we had him in. He sat in the O-line meetings.
Did he really?
In the special teams.
See, he has set himself up. He loves football coaches. Yeah. So Gus Bradley is a friend. Bruce Arians is a friend.
So he had told me that.
He's also a name dropper, right?
Well, that's you. I would never say that. That's you. You know him well enough to say that.
Notice I'm saying that on Wednesday, not on Monday night.
I'm going to make sure that was Andrew Monaco that said that. That was not Mike Elko.
But whoever has, Dev Johnson, assistant coach, gets defense. Lyle will have the offense. He has it almost set up like a football staff, which makes a lot of sense at times when you have all of that and taking care of player development and things like that. So,
him and I had talked about it a little bit, and he told me how much he loved to study it, and I said, come out whenever you want. Yeah. So he shot me a text during camp, and he was like, hey, I'm like, come on out. So
get him on a headset.
No, it's all part of as you try to build this network of coaches. We've got a great network of coaches, and certainly lean on all of them, and him and Joni does a great job, and I'm excited to see what Michael Early can do with the baseball team, and Pat Henry and all of his success. Right? It's just we're littered with really talented coaches.
We're trying to chase the success of the Pat Henrys and the Coach G's.
There's no doubt, right? And so it's certainly fortunate to be on this staff with all of them, and certainly have a lot I could learn from them.
So you said on Monday there's a World Series this week, and you weren't talking Yankees-Dodgers.
I was not.
I was not. No, this one's even more important.
Yeah, so I was trying to be a little bit. So we've had some really big weekends, and so there was a couple of weekends where it was like Michael's going through his fall baseball, and he would hit a home run or have a good day in a scrimmage, and then my other son would go out and win Friday, and I'm like, okay, well, geez, guys, we got to do this Saturday, or else I'm like the black sheep of the family, and so then this weekend's like, they're all fired up about all the things they got going on in their life, and I'm like, hey guys, we got a game that's fairly big too, if you want to come check us out, but no, it's good. It's always good to see the kids flourishing and having fun, and it's awesome.
I love the way you did that on Monday, though. It was really clever.
Yeah, we got to keep the media on their toes a little bit. They kind of get a little bit too comfortable in there sometimes.
Yes, you do. Your players of the week, and I do not want to just blow by this, right? Trey Zune, again, offensive lineman. He's been so dependable, has he not?
Yeah. I mean, he's playing at a really high level. He's certainly playing at an all-conference level at the very least, and it just continues to be so steady and so consistent, and really anchoring that offensive line for us.
D-line, Albert Regis, you said just an absolute solid anchor, and Cassius Howe, you said disruptive, and he was one of those guys you put more in coverage, did you not?
Yeah. So when we make the shift to the 3-4 package, obviously he's the guy that becomes kind of the walk away. I think it opens up a little bit more for him and Ryland Kennedy to continue to play a big role for us. And so, and he does a really good job in that hybrid role of rush and drop, and I think he had a good pass breakup on a ball about 18 yards down the field at the end of the game.
Yes,
so,
he did.
He wants to rush, and we want to rush him, but every once in a while, it's just good to create those coverage change-ups.
Jabri Barber on offense.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, big breakout. Yeah, big breakout. It was good to see. I know he was hungry for that and for the opportunities, and I think the last couple of weeks we've been able to get him the ball a little bit more. I think he's healthy and having really good, strong weeks of practice now, and so it was good to see that pay off for him. And obviously you talked about the third down success, and it felt like I think 4 of his catches were on third downs and third down conversions, and so really big for us.
With no Terry Bussey, he's returning punts. And how about Dalton Brooks? You talked about his versatility, and there he is, kickoff return.
And we kind of knew that was last when we were talking about it. I kind of knew that was coming because we knew we weren't going to have Terry back there, and he's really unique with the ball in his hands. And
from someone else said that he was kind of kicking himself. He said, if I just cut left.
Oh, yeah. So he had so the first return, he did a really good job. They kind of botched it to him. The second one, he got a little bit out ahead of himself, and he ran right by the hole. And I think had he hit it in the spot he could have hit it in, he might still be running. Yeah. So, he was very disappointed in himself.
The Scooby Williams on defense, and you mentioned Monday, and I think you said it after the game as well, just because the numbers aren't there, say 11 or 12 tackles, he's been impactful. but that was almost like a breakout where everybody really got to notice. You've been noticing him all year, but that was a heck of an effort on Saturday.
Yeah, it's that validation we talked about, right?
Yeah.
And nobody really notices until they notice. You know, as a football coach, you notice some more subtle things because we spend all day watching it, right?
Yeah.
But I think he's been really, really good for us, and been really happy with his development, how he's played. You know, he came into fall camp and he really took that job, and him and Damian Sanford have really done a good job stepping in and filling in for Edgerrin Cooper to the best of their ability. And you know, he's been really productive for us all year, and for him to impact that game the way he did and make the critical plays that he did, you know, and it's a shame because he overshadows Torian, who has his best game
career
too.
high 12.
Yeah, you know, Torian York goes out and but Scooby just had those impactful moments and impactful plays. But I thought that was, and even Damian too made some nice plays, and so the three of them, I think, at the linebacker position really performed at a high level.
And then on special teams, you mentioned Solomon DeShields. Mike, as a fan, when you say he made these impactful plays, what can they look for? It's more than just the tackle. So what can they watch on the field to kind of see where Solomon DeShields or Rylan Kennedy in the past or someone really can have that kind of effect?
Yeah, you know, it's hard because, you know, everyone sees the spotlights, right? And so obviously you see Tyler White punting, you see Randy Bond kicking, you see Terry or Jabri or whoever back there returning. But for those guys to have success, there's a lot that goes into it, and no different than, you know, Le'Veon Moss would be the first one to tell you without his offensive line, there's not much he can do. So too for the returner, those guys blocking for him. And so sometimes it's a block, sometimes it's doing a really good job holding somebody up. For Solomon, he was the first guy down on kickoff 5 times. Like, we chart who's the first guy to cross the 30-yard line on every kickoff. That's something that we take a lot of pride in. Who is the guy that's getting down the field the fastest? And so for him to be that guy 5 times in one game, that's really impressive too. And so, yeah, it's just doing some really good things for us.
It goes back to what you talked about before. In practice, can you run 90% of your speed so you know what it's like? If you're doing 60 or 75 on Monday through Thursday, you may not hit 100%, right? On Saturday. You've got to practice that game speed, don't you?
Yeah, and we've gotten to the point now, and it's been really cool to watch this development for us. But, you know, we do a full kickoff cover every Wednesday, and it's a full live, you know, Hayaka full-off kickoff cover. And, you know, now everyone except our kicker and our safety are over 90% of their max speed as they run down the field. And so I think our kids are getting really comfortable with, like, what that means. Like, what does it really mean to strain? What does it really mean to pour everything I have into this thing? And so it's been good.
Is it sometimes along the lines of, I don't know what I don't know? I think I'm doing full speed,
yeah,
but I'm not. So when you call out the numbers, they say, You've done this before. Do it again. Do it at that speed.
There's no doubt. And we all have those experiences in life, right? Where, like, somebody just comes to you and says something to you, and it clicks a light bulb, and you're like, oh, my God, like, I've been living 10 years, and I never thought of that. Like, it's pretty bad that I never noticed that, right? And it's just, there's things like that, and I think that's what we try to do when we talk about, like, how you build the winning mindset, how you build the winning thought process into kids. It's a part of it. It's all these little subtle things that you kind of pour into them.
Much more of the Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. When we return to Rudy's, this is Aggie Football from Learfield. Howdy, Ags. Look for your opportunities this season for your chance to win Texas A&M prizes from the Texas Lottery. Texas Lottery proudly supports Texas education and veterans. Play the Texas Lottery today. Scratch 'em tickets and gig 'em. Gretchen has checked in from LSU country. That's all she said is LSU country. Los Fresnos, Cape Canaveral, Florida. Howdy from Mississippi. They're saying beat the hell out of LSU. Smithville, Fairfax Station, Virginia, Corpus Christi, Boston, Mass, Wisconsin, Giddings, and, of course, Apex, North Carolina.
Apex, North Carolina, where we are about to finish up the JV football game that my daughter's cheering at. And we'll start getting into final preparations for the big championship showdown Friday night.
That's for the conference
title.
Saturday.
Yeah, Friday night.
Friday
night. Apex Friendship against Middle Creek, Friday night for all the marbles. It's a big one.
You gonna be able to watch?
I will. There's this little app. So we'll go. We'll take the team to the movies Friday night, and it actually times up perfect that we're usually at the movies for the game, and so I'll have the game on my phone on my lap, and the movie will be on the big screen, and I'll be able to watch it as best I can.
whatever the scene is, and all of a sudden you hear Coach Elko cheering in the back.
There's no doubt.
Everybody knows.
There's no doubt.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wanted to ask you talked about Connor. How much of a student of the game is he, and how quickly does he get back into the film room? Mike, I'm not going to say just after a game like Mississippi State with how does he do that? What is his process after every game?
Yeah, I think he's becoming more of a student of the game. I think that's one of the things we've really tried to harp and work on with him is, sometimes you've played quarterback so long that you kind of get into a rhythm of like, I'm good. And I think with him it's like, hey, like let's elevate this thing. Let's find the things we don't know. Let's find ways. And I think he's really taken to that. I'm talking 8 months ago we started having these conversations. And so I think he's really now preparing like a pro. I think he's coming in. He spends a lot of time with Colin Klein, Josh Buford, who is our assistant quarterback coach, and they're going over the call card every night. They're going over the looks every night. And I think he's doing the things he needs to do to continue to progress and now consistently reps in this offense and continue to go through, and I think you'll just continue to see him get better and better. He's
not reckless with the ball in his throws. He's very confident. But if you're going to make big plays, you've got to have that confidence, do you not?
Yeah, for sure. For sure, and I think I think he's been really good at protecting the ball for the most part in his career, and you had a couple get away from him on Saturday, and you watch, you evaluate, you learn, and you move forward.
Yeah, it's something to watch because when he does, you are surprised because they've been so few.
Yeah.
So it kind of jumps out at you.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I say this to people all the time too. Like, part of being a quarterback is that's part of it too, right? There's you go out on the mound for a Friday night start and you give up a home run. You gotta get back and you gotta throw the next pitch, right? You play quarterback at a place like Texas A&M and those types of games, and you throw a pick, like you don't have time to. You just got to get back up there and you got to throw the next throw. And and we always talk about this, right? It's everybody. Protection. It's on the routes. It's on the play calls. It's on the understanding of the looks and what you should do based on the look that gets presented to you. And so we all own that stuff. There's not anybody who's not taking the whole thing, and you take a step forward and go get better.
That gets back to your men in the 10. Connor's throwing the ball. What are the other 10 doing?
Yeah, there's no doubt. And sometimes picks are on the quarterback, and sometimes they're not. And, but I sit down with every quarterback who's played for me, and everyone we've recruited to this point as my head coaching career as short as it's been to this point. But it's me. I always tell them this. I say it's me and you, buddy, every single week. We're going to lose a game, and it's either going to be me or you. I said, and my job is to make sure it's always me and never you. And but that's just it's what comes with the job description. You play quarterback, you head coach at a school like this that has expectations and wants to go win at the highest level. That's what you pick up and that's what you sign up for. And it just kind of is what it is.
It has to match, though.
Yeah.
You have to want it the same, right? And you know that whether you're recruiting or you know what I mean when I say inheriting someone, right?
Yeah.
It's got to match that intensity and that desire to win.
No, there's no doubt. And I've always felt like as the head coach, like if the quarterback knows you have his back, like that goes such a long way, right? And that's where some of those conversations come from is just like, I got your back. Like when it's time for me to have your back, I always will. I think that was a little bit of the post-game Missouri was just like, it is what it is, but I just want you to know, like, I've got your back.
Right.
Like, through all of this, through everything that comes along with this, me and you are going to do this together.
Yeah, love it. Questions for you when we return on the other side of this hour. It's the Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko, and it's presented by Capital Farm Credit. Stay with us. This is Aggie Football from Learfield. The Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko is brought to you by Capital Farm Credit, the largest agricultural lender in Texas. Capital Farm Credit. Together, we're better. Need to say howdy to Troya and Vicky Walling, who are always listening. West Texas has checked in. El Paso. Timpson has checked in.
Oh.
Yeah.
We got a guy from Timpson.
That Timpson Terror, right? and Terry Bussey. Scottsdale, Arizona. Savannah, Georgia. Yeah. Alex, I know. If he's listening, he knows. He goes, bro, that was a 10-minute commercial. It's called The Bridge. Is what it is.
Yeah, Alex, we have the bridge every week. Every week we have the bridge.
So Mike gets a chance to go see the 12th man.
Hands. We got some people here for the first time.
Yes, we do. Yeah. But he's right in Niceville, Florida as well. Questions. How do you keep the defense from the Mississippi State game Saturday? And One, confirm a rumor we're wearing black uniforms, and will the black uniforms give the team energy?
I don't know. We haven't done the uniform reveal just yet, so I don't know exactly what the uniforms will be. We'll find that out when that gets put out.
One of your captains and your 12th man has said, you know what, you might want to do yourself a favor and wear black. Correct?
Yeah, I think I followed up on that. I think, I think a blackout would be really good. I think coming out and I think, we talked about it this way, and listen, we have a ton of respect for who we are, what our traditions are, but part of this new era of college football, what we want Texas A&M to look like is embracing our traditions, embracing our history, and finding a way to put a little bit of a modern spin on it as well. And I think that's all part of progressive change, right? And it doesn't mean that you're moving away from who you are. It doesn't mean that you're moving away from what you stand for. I think you can wear maroon and white 11 games, and maybe one game do something a little different.
Right. You were asked on the teleconference call today about the culture, and you immediately put it on the players, gave them all the credit, right? I like what you said. They did not have to listen and do this.
Yeah.
It's very important. This is also part of that, right? They earn something like this, because if they're not doing what they're doing, you're going to say, well, why are you going to do this if you're not doing everything that you're supposed to do? Does it go hand in hand that way?
For sure it does. And it's all like, it's a weird analogy, right? But it's not a whole lot different than what you do in parenting, right? Like you have to empower them. You have to have them take ownership in the program. You have to have it be their program. Everyone talks about, how do you keep this thing together in the transfer portal? How do you build camaraderie in the transfer portal era? How do you do all this? Well, a big part of it is you make your kids extremely proud of their program. Right, and you make them very excited about the program that they're in, the program that they're part of. We have structures, we have things that are non-negotiables for sure. But there's other things that you want to empower them to say, like, yeah, I'm really, really excited that I'm a Texas A&M football player. And that's how you have kids, and we keep pointing these kids out, but that's how you have kids where some schools have kids opting out, redshirting, right, refusing to play. We have kids who transferred in, have 1 year of football left to play, and didn't win the starting job, but earned special teams player of the week, right?
Yes.
And that's not... It's not lost on us how rare and unique that is in this modern era, right? And so you try to point those things out, you try to talk about those things, and it's not necessarily that you're like rewarding them, but you want to run a program that your kids are very, very proud of. Yeah. And that's a big piece of this thing.
John is asking for the second week in a row an opposing quarterback has called out the 12th man in Kyle Field. I believe Garrett Nussmeier, that's an old comment, and I think he took it back a little bit. But what is it like to see the response by the 12th man and the players to that kind of challenge? And what makes Kyle Field and the 12th man so special?
Yeah, I'm going to leave the first part of that
Gotcha.
question for about 10 o'clock Saturday night.
Okay.
And the second part of that question, what makes it special is and I joked about this because I couldn't believe in the spring there was conversations about like the 12th man not showing up at the spring game, and I addressed it in the spring of like there's a lot of things I worry about. The one thing I never worry about is where the 12th man will be when Texas A&M football is playing on Saturday. They will be in Kyle, they will be loud and proud, and they will give us an unbelievable home field advantage. I still remember like it was the first year I was here. We had just played Clemson, and I don't remember, it was New Mexico State or whoever it was. It was not a big game, and it was an 11 a.m. kick. And I'm like, okay, we'll probably be half full or whatever. And we went in for pregame, and I came out, and I lifted my head up when we were about to run out of the tunnel, and there was about 98,000 people in the stadium. I'm like, okay, yeah, this place is a little different. Yeah. And so, what it means to us is everything. Yeah. It means that you have support, and we talk about it all the time with the players. Like, you deal with so much negativity nowadays when things don't go right. Like social media and message boards and blogs and all of these things, and the kids to understand, like, your fan base is here for you all the time. Right. All the time. Like, they don't turn your back on you. It's not if you win, they love you. If you don't, they don't. Like, you're very blessed to be at a place where your fan base shows up and supports you all the time. right? Now you have these outliers of like everyone does, and you got to just ignore that stuff because you're fortunate. There's a lot of programs across the country that when you're winning, they're there, and when you're losing, they're not.
Right.
That's not Texas A&M.
Right. Nope. John, Steve, thank you for those questions. Couple more segments. We turn our attention to LSU when we come back to the Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit, and this is Aggie Football from Learfield. Rudy's is a proud sponsor of Aggie Football. Be sure to stop by your local Rudy's or visit rudys.com for some real Texas barbecue. Enjoy 100% oak smoked meats, delicious sides, and Rudy's signature sauce. Our boy over here, Kevin Menchow, engineering. I failed to mention that he was running Buzz's show, was here last night as well for the Aggie Soccer Hour with Coach G, and he's here as well, so he's going through the entire menu of Rudy's this week.
He's working the grind this week.
Yes, he absolutely is. And far belatedly, my thanks to Lacey Williams for running that show on Monday. We kind of blew through the end of the show, but I'm just saying that Buzz didn't do anything wrong. We just kind of blew through that end where you say goodbye. It's called a hard out. When you say anything after that, don't make it too good because no one's going to hear it.
Right.
But,
a hard out.
Yeah,
hard out at 1828.
That's right. You know a little too much, my friend.
I do.
How do you prepare for a night game? Do you practice at night? Asks Mark.
No, I think one of the things when you're in college, you unfortunately don't get to flip your schedule around.
Yeah.
I think you don't get to change it. Classes have to get scheduled. So our kids, we're in a rhythm where we practice in the mornings, and so we locked in the class schedule, and so you don't have that flexibility. And so I think kids in college, we just get used to kind of different body clocks and different times that you play. And I think from our standpoint, we wanted to go in the morning because I think the hardest kicks are the 11s, right? When you have them 11 o'clock, 11:30 kicks, if you're used to getting up at 2 in the afternoon, game's over by the time you're getting up. And so, we like to get the boys up early, get them a good breakfast and get our work in the morning.
Another question here is if you can't get 1 yard on fourth down, how do you expect to get 10 yards in the first 3 downs?
That's an interesting question. I don't know. Is that referencing us going for it or something? I don't know.
I'm trying to see on the rest of this.
It's a very weirdly worded. That's a very weirdly worded question.
I wanted to make sure that I ask it because it was left here for me on that station.
Maybe that's why we went for it on the 4th and 3.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. What is your philosophy for that? Does the game dictate? Are you an analytical guy when it comes to fourth down? Is it a feel thing, or is it a mix of all of that?
It's probably a mix of all of it. So I always know what the analytics say. I always know what the goal line is, and then it's kind of a feel for is it right at this moment. And I think everything. When you really dive into the analytics, it's all probability of outcome percentaging, right? And I was a math guy back in the day. And so, when you think about, okay, they're saying I should go for it because these are the percentages that they're calculating to get me to wanting to go for it. And you can kind of in your mind be like, I don't think that's actually the real percentages at this moment, and so I can shift and kind of move based on how I think it's appropriate.
And you're seeing the game both sides as well. Maybe this is where we pin them, defense will give us back, and we get that. And momentum is such a big thing, and I felt like that was swinging. That's why I liked what you said about the responses. It was swinging, and when Mississippi State had it, you were able to get it back. That's a sign of a good team, is it not?
For sure. And there's times on those analytics where, we always talk about it. I want to know when they're going to tell me I was wrong. As long as I know when they're going to tell me I was wrong, then I'm good. When I get the report, we get a report every Sunday. Yeah. If I get the report and it's like, and I'm like, I didn't know that one, then I'm disappointed with myself. Yeah. But the 4th and 1 at the end of the game that we punted, that was a clear analytical go. But we just at that point felt like we had gotten into a really good rhythm on defense, and that's where you say okay, I think our percentages of stopping them are higher now than they were, on a piece of paper on Wednesday when they put this book together. We're in a good groove, we're playing well, we're pressuring the quarterback. I'm not going to risk giving them a short field. I'm going to make them drive the field twice to beat us, and so some of those things I think go into that decision.
Taking on LSU, before we get to that team, you got the chance to work with Brian Kelly. You've learned from all the coaches that you've worked with. Was there anything in particular that you learned from Brian Kelly?
Yeah, I said this today on the media call. I think, that was my first dive into this, high-level, high-profile world of college football. I had been Bowling Green, Wake Forest before that. No disrespect to those schools, but, that wasn't 95,000 people at your games. That wasn't big fan bases. It wasn't that atmosphere. And so just how you manage player performance, player psychology, through dealing with everything that comes into those types of pressures, those types of games, those types of atmospheres. I really appreciated the way he handled the psychology of the sport. And you certainly look at the results that he's had over his career. He's been extremely successful at a lot of levels at a lot of different programs.
I like what you said, mirroring one another, not just the seasons, but he's a guy at Grand Valley State, then Central Michigan, then Cincinnati, Notre Dame, and now LSU. Yeah. You also rose, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody looks, Brian, he's always been a big-time head coach. No, not always.
Not always.
Right?
Not always.
Same thing with Mike Elko, right? Yeah. You earn it, and you both seem to be very appreciative of where you are right now.
No, for sure. And people used to always ask me, you get into these job interviews, and they always say, why you? And I say, well, why me is because you can look at my resume and see success at different schools, different environments, different states, different areas of the country. Like when you see continued success that doesn't necessarily all come in the same pattern, you can bet on that guy to solve a problem, right? And I think that's what you see with his head coach career, right? Is a guy who's been at the Division II level, then he's been in Ohio, then he's been in Indiana, now he's in Baton Rouge, and he's found ways to have success. And so you just kind of figure out, okay, that guy probably has an ability to solve problems and figure this thing out wherever you put him.
Much more about LSU when we return. It's our final segment. Aggies, LSU, 6:30, Saturday, Kyle Field, 5:30 with our St. Joseph Health pregame show. This is Aggie Football from Learfield. Come visit Costa Vida in South College Station for Baja-style Mexican made from scratch daily. Serving breakfast tacos, lunch, and dinner. Aggie owned and operated, and a proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. That's our friend Holly Johnston. Our final, basically almost seconds.
Yeah, nice job managing this out to leave us a solid minute 20 to talk about the LSU game.
Yeah. Maybe we won't. How about if I ask you this? There's an old line from Rich Brooks when he was coaching at Kentucky, and he talked about Mississippi State. He says, when you play the Bulldogs, you know the next day that you played Mississippi State. The reason why I say that, is that how you want to be known, as that on that night you're playing Texas A&M, and the next day that you have just played Texas A&M?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we want to be a physical football team. We want to be a team that brings it every single time we go on the field, and we want to make sure that our effort and our physicality stay at a level that's consistent week in and week out. And I think that's how you overcome not defending the route the right way, or maybe missing a blitz, or maybe not throwing the ball the way you want to, or missing a cut, right? You overcome all of those little mistakes with effort, physicality, and if those things stay at an elite level, you always have a chance to be successful.
Beat the hell out of LSU on Saturday.
That's the plan, buddy.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for coming out. We appreciate you. Loud and proud this week. We're going to need everybody Saturday night, so big one. Looking forward to it. Thanks and gig 'em.
6:30, Aggies, LSU. St. Joseph Health pregame, 5:30. I'll talk with Mike Elko. You know what? We'll talk about LSU then. That's what we'll do. Thanks for joining us. This is Aggie Football from Learfield.